So you had games, we're going to talk about games where you made it all the way, blood, sweat, and tears. You now at the boss. And all of a sudden, the boss just with one uppercut, bam, done. Bosses that made you so mad you wanted to throw the controller and hit the reset button. Like so bad that all your efforts in vain were crushed the minute you hit these bosses. Today, ladies and gentlemen, we talk about the hardest bosses, every era and the new hardest bosses. Here on 47 Gamers, let's get into it. Scharonne, who's your list of hardest gaming bosses? Which one you want to talk about first?
Man, I remember Samurai Showdown 2. That final boss on that game was a menace. I beat the game one time, and that was it. And that was the Neo Geo. That boss would have you so disoriented, I kid you not. Left would be right, down would be up, and the game would have you screwed just like that, So you had to learn, what were like the disorientation of the remote control whenever it put that spell on you or whatever. So that was an extremely hard boss. And right now, I could turn on my Neo Geo, go straight to that boss right now, and still will be the same results because it was just so difficult.
So I'm going to take us way back. Little Mac, the little dude that would have to boom.
Yeah.
So you fighting Glass Joe. You fighting Soda Popinski. You fighting the Bald Bull.
Man.
Then finally, you make it to Mike Tyson, Iron Mike Tyson. Dude, jab. And all of a sudden, the dude hits you with an uppercut. All your energy goes. 2 more of those, you're done. Iron Mike Tyson, ladies and gentlemen, to me, that was one of the hardest dudes to beat. Like, you made it all the way to that, and then he just knocks you out, man. How you feel about Iron Mike Tyson? Mike Tyson's Punch Out as far as a hard boss.
1-3-5-9-6-3. I just went back every time. And I still ain't knocked him out. Yeah, man. Yeah,
I said I actually beat him, man. I actually beat the dude, man. And it says, like, right now, I'm looking at this. It says you have to be near perfect at dodging and recognize. Because I think, like, he would just throw these jabs out of nowhere, and you had to, like, recognize it. And I actually beat him. I think I beat him like once or twice. And man, the controller was sweaty. And like you said, that code, you just have that code and be persistent. But I remember the first time I got to that dude, I'm already scared. And he beat me like quick. And I was just deflated.
Yeah.
Good.
I think by the time I got Nintendo, we had already had that code. So, we put it in and sent us back to round 1. So I was like, you know what, I'm just going to practice and hit up like Glass Joe and all these people are like, try to get that finger speed in there. And, to this day, I think had I played it a little more consistent, I would have done it. But, I just like, screw it, Even Mike Tyson didn't beat Mike Tyson. And I seen that video of Mike Tyson, if you're watching. I seen that, and I mean, either way, he still won. But I've never beaten Mike Tyson.
Yeah, I beat him. I finally beat him. But like you said, you have to be near perfect. And the one key thing about Mike Tyson's Punch Out was all about pattern recognition. Like they all remember, what was the dude, King Hippo? You hit him in the stomach. So it was all about pattern. And I think, what was the Indian guy that would do the circle thing? His jewel.
It would blink.
It would blink. And then the same thing with Bald Bull. You would have to hit him at a certain time when he did the charge. It was the same thing. But Mike was so fast, but then you would have to recognize the patterns. Another game that has what?
I said, even with that, there was like a little guy, something in the crowd that would blink at a certain time, and that's when you would also attack in that game. So, I mean, if you didn't recognize the pattern, you can always look at that one little guy off to the right or whatever, and he blink, and that's when you would push the button.
Yeah. But when you first get in the ring with Tyson, he deflates your ego. I always thought as a child that was a hard knock life right there. But I also wanted to get into Mega Man. The Mega Man series had some hard bosses. Mega Man just in general. Now as a middle-aged man getting back into like Nintendo and Super Nintendo and the 32-bit Mega Man series, I think there were a lot of hard bosses. But the internet says that Wily Capsule of Mega Man 7. But I think there's a whole bunch of hard bosses on the Mega Man series that we could just think of. Mega Man was just filled with drama.
The thing is, every boss on any Mega Man game has always been difficult. And it's about pattern, but they've never been easy. Even before you even got the Wily, those games were just hard,
Yeah. So what would be your top Mega Man enemies? I mean, there's just so many.
You know what? One of my favorite was the water stage. I don't remember his name, but in Mega Man 2, I think that's one of my favorite Mega Man games. It's number 2. then number 3, and then there's the one that came out on PlayStation. I think it was called Mega Man 7. Where
Yeah,
they
yeah, yeah.
revamped the colors. Yeah, that was a really nice one. There was the one that came out on PlayStation, but they've all been great. But I believe that number 2, number 3, and number 7 was my favorite because they were the ones that I spent the most time with. And I will say that Mega Man 7 was nowhere near as hard as the past games because they have like a gyro system where you could slow down and play the game in slow mo, and that makes it a lot easier when you're trying to dodge a bullet. But I mean, if hey, Mega Man's another.
Yeah,
It's rough.
raw. And I even think I'm trying to think. Shoot, Virtual Fighter, Virtual Fighter 2. I want to say the last boss that kind of morphs.
Dual? Is it
Yeah,
like a looks like it's made out of aluminum or something?
aluminum. Yeah, and then it just
Yeah,
kind of mimic you. That one
yeah.
was pretty hard. It took me a hot minute to get to bust out with that one. I'm trying to think, man. Some other ones.
Geese
What?
Howard.
Huh?
Geese Howard from those Fatal Fury, Art of Fighting games,
Oh,
Neo
yeah.
Geo.
Oh, yeah.
Geese Howard
Yeah.
was a beast. And then we got Bison.
Oh, yeah. Bison.
Bison, or if you were in the European, I think he's Vega.
Oh, yeah. Vega.
Yeah, he's Vega in the the European game. But I'm gonna tell you another one. Machine Gun Willie from Double Dragon.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Which I have a pattern that I can actually beat him. And there's something I learned just a few weeks ago where if you get that knife on that final battle and you throw it off of the screen and it doesn't hit anything, his bullets won't hit you. That's a glitch, and I learned that.
Damn.
I was like, are you serious? I mean, you just stand there and he'll just blast away, but you have to stay toward the bottom of the screen because, like I said, if that knife hits the wall or whatever, then it tricks the game and it redirects. It's like, okay, now you can get hit by a projectile. But if you take the knife and you throw it off of the screen and it hits nothing, then technically the knife is still in your hand and so they can't attack you. But I learned that glitch 38 years later. So, but
What
it
what
works.
what do you think about Akuma for Street Fighter 2?
If you're fighting him as a final boss, I say yeah, he's pretty tough. But if you're just fighting him, he's like number 2 or number 3, like in the alpha games, he's not so bad. Yeah. What about Ninja Gaiden? Jaquio, how you say his last name?
Yeah, man. And Ninja Gaiden, man, just an all-around hard game, bro. That game, again, it's one of those games where timing, where you got to land on the platforms. And to be honest, man, I don't think I've ever gotten to the final boss of that game. It's like, yeah, it was one of those games that I couldn't.
Well, I mean, you're in luck because if you play it on the Nintendo store, like you have like Nintendo Online, and you select Ninja Gaiden, it has like a ribbon next to it. They will start you right at the final boss.
Really?
But the thing is with Ninja Gaiden, because of the way the game is made, if you lose one battle between any of those bosses, they'll send you all the way back to the very beginning of the stage. You have to get through all that stuff again. So I would recommend using the rewind feature if you've never done it again, just to kind of learn how to finagle. That's another one I learned how to fight, because there's a way that if you climb up that wall, and if you ever play the game, you'll see you can get a projectile hit you just right, and it's like you'll stand at the top and you'll be able to attack that guy, but you got to jump at the top of the screen and make those fireballs kind of go out of the way so you won't get hit. Yeah, Ninja Gaiden was another tough one. You got 3 end bosses at that game. In
Yeah.
fact, I played it just a few days ago, and I was showing a friend just how hard that game really was. And I invented curse words playing that game. I can't tell you how many times I said the F word through the controller and picked it back up and like let's go again. But yeah, to have beaten Ninja Gaiden back in the early '90s before I knew of any of these like hacks or whatever, and I did beat that game. But the first one was always the toughest. Second one was pretty much a breeze because they kind of gave you the advantage that you can climb up and down the wall versus in the first one you couldn't do that. You had to learn how to jump and trick the controller to make him move. Like, yeah, that game was hell.
But even like some games is just like hard. You're exhausted just to get through them, like Contra Hardcore, man.
I ain't made it to the 4th stage on Contra Hardcore.
I have yet to see the final boss. I'm scared to see the final boss because that game is hard. But what
Yeah.
did you think about Sephiroth from Kingdom Hearts 2?
Yeah, another hard one.
Yeah, he's on the top list of hard bosses.
Yeah,
How long did it take you to finally to beat him?
Maybe a day, couple hours. It didn't go on and on and on. Keep in mind, I didn't play it on extreme difficulty because I'm not trying to do that to myself. But he was not easy. but it was doable. And once I completed the game, I was like, oh, okay, he wasn't so bad. It's like, but if you once again, there's one particular thing he does, like where he has a bunch of lasers that are coming at you all at one time, and you have to constantly keep pushing the buttons. If you don't push one of those buttons at the right time, it's over. It's like there's nothing that you can do to get away from it. And it's like accept your fate and look at the game over screen and go get a cup of water or something, because it's like, well, you got to do
Yeah,
all this again. But yeah,
yeah, yeah,
Sephiroth is in Kingdom Hearts is one of those games like where you have a life bar. The Sephiroth have a life bar, and they have like 5 or 6 dots behind that life bar. So every time that life bar depletes, then that takes away a dot. Then you got to do it again, and it takes away another dot. So it's like his life bar is like 6 life bars. So it's like you gotta learn how to really play that carefully. And Sephiroth was beast, man. But I did it.
yeah. Because that's the same like the dynamics with some of the beat 'em up games, man. For one, we can talk about Streets of Rage final boss.
Hmm.
You got a lot of people coming at you, and he's got a light bar that's like first it's yellow, then
Uh-huh.
it's orange, then it's
Uh-huh.
green. That's like a whole bunch. And I find out too, like Streets of Rage 4,
Yeah.
same thing, man. You got
Yep.
everybody coming at you, and then like I haven't got to the final boss yet, but I imagine it's gonna be the same situation. And it's like, come on, man, give us a break, man. What do you think about some of the? I think of some of the Mortal Kombat bosses, man. That
That oh yeah, I'm gonna tell you what was I always struggled with was that horse thing. It was like half horse, half man.
yeah,
Motaro in Mortal
Mataru,
Kombat 3.
yeah.
He was hard at first, and then that other thing in Mortal Kombat 2, right before you fight the final boss. It looked like he had 4 arms, I believe.
Oh yeah. I know you're talking about. Yeah, the
Yeah,
forearms, and
man.
he just pound the living hell out of you, man.
Yeah, in the first game it was Goro. The second game is something else, but yeah, it's like the final boss ain't it is nothing compared to the second to final boss of Mortal Kombat. Yeah. Ooh. But I mean the thing is I don't know, like once you beat that, like once you get past that boss and you know that fight is over, it's like the biggest breath of fresh air. It's like, okay, now I'm moving on to the last boss. Now I get to struggle with this for another hour. And heaven forbid you push that damn reset button.
Oh yeah, because you gotta start over, man.
Yeah.
You gotta make it run. That was the funny thing about Mike Tyson Punch Out. You ain't really have there was no time to react because he came with it. And once he came with it, that was it. So any other bosses before we get into a topic that I want to talk with you about, man, about a
Yeah.
new game? Any other hard bosses you can think of?
Yeah, I got 2. The
Okay.
final boss from Contra 3,
Oh yeah. Oh
which
yeah.
I beat Contra 3, but I didn't beat it on like the most insane difficulty. That's a tough one. And Ridge Racer, if you're racing against that black car, because if you beat that black car, you win that car. I still have not beaten that black car yet. And Ridge Racer has been out since 1995. I
Yeah.
just gave up.
And then
Like, yeah,
you bring up a good point because with the racers, man, it's a whole different dynamic. With the hard bosses for the racers,
yeah,
you have to like it has to be patterns. You have to learn which curve where to
yeah,
go, and then like I hate with the racers. If you slip up, that's
yep,
time,
that's
and
it.
that 1 second, that 2 second, that millisecond can
Hmm.
be between victory or not
Hmm.
victory. And like you said, with Ridge Racer, yeah, that
And
is frustrating. And there's a lot of hard ones as well. Like I've been into like the Need for Speed, and
yeah,
some of them is just
and
like, damn.
I've actually ran head and head with that black car on Ridge Racing. He made it past the finish line. So I was like, hey, you know what? I'm good. I'm moving on. But yeah, you can't let it get you down.
You say you had another one?
Oh, let's see. Is there another one? You know what? I never even made it to the final boss on this game. I don't know anybody who ever has battle tools.
Battletoads, man, you
Yes.
taking it back,
Yeah, screw
man.
that game. Dude, the game is hard. Like, I don't know. Somebody was mad at somebody else and they went out and made this game just to piss off somebody's kids or whatever. It must have been somebody's stepdad that was, oh, I don't know who. But
Yeah.
yeah, screw it. I think I made it like maybe the third or fourth level on that stage, on that game, I'm sorry. And I'm talking about the OG battle tools from Nintendo.
But yeah, and I
Yeah.
say for Battletoads, man, that game for the Nintendo, it was great, man. It had parallax scrolling, even the graphics, even when you're riding on that thing, it was like it
Yeah.
was something that definitely pushed Nintendo's hardware limits.
Yeah.
I remember renting a few times, and yeah, I never made it to the final boss,
I
unfortunately, as
know
well.
it was towards the end of the Nintendo lifespan because I know that the Nintendo 16-bit, the Super Nintendo was getting ready to come in. So it was kind of like the last wave of games that we were playing, that I was playing before we made the 16-bit jump. I do remember that, but it was a good game. It was just it's too damn hard. I was like, yeah,
Yeah.
nah, I don't even care. If I don't win, cool, because I already know yeah, it's just
Yeah.
ridiculous.
So, ladies and gentlemen, yeah, if you haven't checked out Mike Tyson's Punch Out, if you haven't checked out the earlier or even all the Mega Man series, and then some of the people that we talked about, because I know the most frustrating ones for me are the ones, the fighting games, the hard ones, because it's like, damn, dude, how you gonna hit me and I'm just decimated. You know what I mean? How does that happen? But I want to talk to you about a new game, ladies and gentlemen. I'm not. If you know Mark Nias, I don't do scary. Don't invite me to haunted houses. Actually, I watched this video game on YouTube just to get an idea because they made a remake of part 2 on the Amazon Luna app. And I played like the beginning where you're in a gas station. And I was like, nah, I'm good. But my man, Scharonne, man, he's the Resident Evil expert. So ladies and gentlemen, we're going to switch this over to Resident Evil Raquel and get your take on the video game, man. What you think?
Man, look, the game is wild. It's fire. I finished it, a few days ago. It's scary. It is scary.
And coming from you,
It's
yeah, okay.
scary.
Yeah.
So but I'm gonna tell you this, it plays a lot on. It's gonna really build your anxiety. I'm one of those people that don't like to be chased, and that game is doing a lot of it with certain things, particularly like at the beginning. It's not that hard, but the thing is it's just scary. They play on like a lot of dark corners. When you're playing with Ashley, you don't have a flashlight at first. You have a lighter. So like keep in mind, like now you're running to some of this hotel that
Yeah.
has like no electricity, and this big giant girl thing is chasing you. And you got to get to the light. So she can't come in there. But you're not always safe in that room because like once you get to a particular item, and it kind of precedes the game, and she goes in the ceiling and breaks the light. It's like, okay, I can't stay here now. I have to run and go to this place. And this game, it plays a lot on sound. So you may be in the room and you're hearing this stuff like in your surround sound system. So it's like in the back left corner. So it's like, yo, she's coming. So it's like you gotta move. Like you can't just sit still. So you're not safe, but you're not particularly safe. And this is also a game that has like a save, like a typewriter. If you are not in a safe state, it won't let you save the game. So it's like you have to, get rid of certain enemies or whatever before they'll let you even save. It's like, okay, it'll tell you now's not the time. So it's like, shit.
You have to find a spot.
Yeah.
You ain't saving. We gonna
Well,
revisit this type of environment.
nah, yeah, there's no revisit. You got to do it this way. However, I will say this about the game, which I think is cool, because they'll let you craft your weapons. Like if you find certain scrap and everything, you have a bullet. You got about, let me tell you, by the time I finished that game, I was walking there like Rambo. I had more ammo in my case because it's like I didn't know what was coming up, and that stuff was like gold. I was saving up my ammo because I didn't know what was coming. I had shotgun, I had machine guns, and okay, so that was playing with Lee. There's two people. There's Leon. I'm sorry, my light cut off. The guy Leon, he's in the game, and he's kind of like the John Wick. So you go through him, and you have just weapons. Then the girl Ashley, she doesn't have as many weapons. She has like a handgun and Molotov bottles, and that you craft, and you basically in the dark with this girl, and it's like she's running around. She's like, I don't like. She doesn't know what to do. But the funny thing is you don't know what to do because the game doesn't necessarily tell you. It's almost like they just toss you out there. It's like, all right, go figure this out.
Yeah, you gotta make it work.
You got to make it work.
How would you rank it amongst the Resident Evil series? Like, where does it rank?
All right, so that's hard because the first Resident Evil will always be OG, but the first Resident Evil is always it's also older,
Yeah,
So let's put it up against 7, 8, and 9.
remakes. Yeah, the updated
Yeah, the
versions. Yeah.
updated versions. Seven was pretty eerie when it came out.
Hmm.
It took place in Louisiana. That's a little close to home because I live in Mississippi. And it's like, okay, that really looks like that could be Louisiana's bayou or somewhere up the road around here. It's like the places where I wouldn't go. And it really had that distinctive look about it. And I thought that was pretty fire. Number 8 was great too. But 9, man, this new one. And I'm not saying that just because it's the newest one. It's pretty terrifying. In fact, there's some people saying that it's too scary. I'm not gonna say that. I mean, because that's what it's supposed to be. It's a horror game.
Yeah.
So let's see. I would say 7, 9, and 8.
Which one was The Village?
8.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
and
Yeah,
8,
because
8 I thought the 8 was great.
yeah, I say The Village from the footage that I've seen. Like I said, I don't do scary games, so I'm watching on the YouTubes.
Yeah,
Okay, because I think The Village was good, and then like the one you said in the Bayou. So okay, so it's
yeah.
up there. Okay, so it's
The Village is, so The Village to me is more action oriented. Number 7 reintroduces the horror, and number 9 reintroduces the horror in a different way, you know. Number 7 is almost like, kind of like, I don't know, let's say Texas Chainsaw Massacre-ish, because there's like one scene where you are sitting at the table and you're tied up with the family and there's nothing you can do, and they're trying to feed you this, I don't know, body parts and slop and everything, and you got to kind of get away from it. And then, you are kind of trying to get away from that crazy dad in like the first or maybe second level. He does chase you around the house. And then once you get done with, yeah, you got to get away from him. And he's crazy. He's funny, but he's crazy and he's
is
mental.
that the one where it's like you're in the garage and stuff, the
Yeah,
car? Yeah,
yeah,
that's why I saw it on the YouTubes. I was like,
yeah.
this is the
Well, keep in mind, that's also the
yeah,
one that you all saw when you came to my house.
yeah, with the head popping out of the yeah,
Yeah, it came out of the water in the basement. Yeah, so
yeah,
that's pretty
that
creepy.
one is
Yeah.
insane.
Number
Does
8,
it does it give you the same type of fright? Because that one, they just coming at you, man. You ain't got time to breathe. Does it have that type of urgency and like,
I mean, yeah. It's like, find the bullets.
yeah,
Yeah, make sure you got ammo stocked up and,
yeah, yeah,
try to get away. But, I'll save it with number 8, The Village. I think there's like werewolf like style villains or something that's involved in
yeah,
that. And it
yeah,
happens like in the European and you're in Europe, which is it was I thought that was pretty solid. But in this new one, the zombies like in 9 Requiem, like some of those zombies, like, they worked in the place. So it's like you'll see zombies that's like, they're still like saying things like, "Gotta turn the lights off," they're like kind of like they still have like a little bit of memory, and you see them over
yeah.
like messing with the lights and stuff. So it's like I walked up to one of them and like got kind of close and kind of turned and looked, and I just kind of turned the light off. I just hit the light switch on the wall. I was like,
Yeah.
and I just backed out of there. And then there's like another one that's like the female zombies. They're like they sing, like you see them like singing, like kind of harmonizing it, just like kind of trying to walk up to you and everything. And you trying to aim the gun and everything. And sometimes like go for the torso or go for the legs and then hit the head. If you got a shot,
Jeez.
look. If you got a shotgun, hit the head. Make sure they splatter.
It's it. No,
But that ain't that stuff, man. Look, there are more to this. It's a good game. There's a chef, where there's one part where the chef he's got a big butcher knife, and he's still working, like, they still have that, he's over there like, chopping at the stove and everything. It's like making noises and stuff, and like it's a little frightening because it's like, okay, now I got to be quiet because you make a noise, they're going, what was that? And they come and looking for you. It's like
yeah,
so you're backing out and everything, keeping the balance, a video game, but the thing is you don't want to get caught.
yeah,
So
yeah,
it's like if you do this, like if you didn't say you gotta do all this all over again. I was like, all right, let me just be careful. So I ain't gonna lie, I played the game on casual, which is the easiest mode because I just wanted to get the story. It's like, okay, I'm gonna finish this one time, and then maybe
yeah,
I'll jump back in it.
yeah,
And
yeah.
but it's a good game. Capcom did their thing. I say shouts out. You get a strong 9 out of 10 for me, and 10 is
Okay, no, I did.
yeah,
That was the next question. All
yeah.
right, cool. I'm gonna watch them on the
In
internet. So maybe,
fact,
man, I just
let
watch
me
you
let
play
me
it.
let me just take it back. I'm gonna give them a 10 on that
Yeah.
game.
Oh, okay.
I'm giving
Scharonne
them a
gives him
10.
he give him a 10 out of 10. Okay.
They did the damn thing.
40 something gamers, 10 out of 10. Okay.
Yeah,
Dang, dang. Yeah. I watch
man.
on the internet.
You know
So
what?
ladies and just oh, go
I'm
ahead.
gonna, I'm gonna say this, and I'm gonna invest in this because you have the Nintendo Switch. There is a camera that you can buy for that, and
Mhm.
I'm gonna buy one for mine also. So you'll be able to like watch my
The
gameplay.
reaction.
Like you'll be able to see like what I'm playing, and like like we're talking right now. We'll be doing
Yeah.
that, but instead I'll be playing the game. You'll see me, and you'll see the game on your screen.
Okay.
So it's like if you're afraid, or whatever, or if you don't want to play, you just like want to stand by and watch. Let's say like the old days in the arcade, except we're not in there. You have that experience. So I think that
Like I
that's pretty
said,
cool.
on Luna Plus, I played a little bit of the 2 remake, and that zombie got me, and just the way they keep coming at you, bro, in this first person, I'm like, "Nah, dog."
Yeah,
But, ladies and gentlemen, this is another, episode we talking about hardest bosses. Let us know what your hardest boss is, and please like, subscribe, comment. That's what's gonna keep us going. A lot more coming in 2026, and, before we close it out, Sharon, what do you wanna say, man? What's going on?
I always want to say, don't forget to get your exercise, get out, get some sunshine. I tried to show you guys some artwork last time, but the cellophane got in the way, so maybe you can see this a little bit better. This is
There
kind of
you
the
go.
style of what I work on.
Oh, yeah, it's got
Yeah.
like trees and lighting. Okay, no
Yeah,
doubt.
light bulbs and stuff like that. It's got some airbrush effects. So yeah, that's what I do. I'm Scharonne Art. Check me out on Facebook sometimes, and hopefully pretty soon I'll get something going. Maybe we can get some images out so you can purchase it. I'm a work in progress. I'm an artist, so you gotta bear with me sometimes.
Ladies and gentlemen, yeah, check me out, Marquivas Nias on Spotify. That's my music composer persona. And then also FURYUS is my hip hop music persona. Under composer, I just came out with a tune called Hope in High Places. Very stadium-like, very uplifting. And again, check us out, 40 Something Gamers on Facebook. Like, subscribe. And also we have a community on here as well on the YouTubes, man. We got questions like, I asked the question, because I genuinely wanted to know, back in the 16-bit era, why did we get that big blocky Super Nintendo and overseas they got the Super Famicom? So I break that down for you guys as to
Yeah.
why.
You know what? I'm gonna say this. To me, the Super Famicom, the European version, which is out, that always looked like the Betamax machine, and we got the VHS.
Yeah, we got the big blocky.
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
like that Super Famicom, the way they designed that was sweet. And it's like I
yeah, it was
always
sweet,
wanted
man.
mine to look like that. Appreciate the Nintendo, but we should, yeah. Come
Yeah,
on now.
I feel like we got cheated, man. We
Was
got the
very
big block.
that was very innovative looking. When I saw that for the first time, I was like, oh, that's cool. And don't get
Yeah.
me wrong, the games were still the same, kind of, sort of, depending on what you were playing. But yeah, I really did like to look at that Super Famicom.
We're the biggest market. Y'all should treat us
Yeah,
as such in the US. All
yeah. I
right,
think
ladies and gentlemen. Oh, go ahead.
yeah.
What you gonna say?
But nothing. I don't know. I think it was something to do with the American market or something like that. I think that the European version was like that looked sweet. I still love the way that looked to this day.
Yep, aged well. All right, ladies and gentlemen, it's myself and Scharonne. Again, like, comment, subscribe, and we'll see you again on 40 Something Gamers. Thank you for tuning in.